Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news. Trevor Chalobah speaks on Reece James' performance. We have an update regarding Mudryk. Chelsea want to sign Myles Lewis-Skelly, and Chelsea been alerted of a new striker target. Now, of course, I'll be giving my own thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported, but more importantly, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 15k by the end of the season. You can also use the new YouTube hype feature, which pushes this video out to a bigger audience. Kicking things off, News Arkansas has reported what Trevor Chalobah said on Reece James' performance. He said he was unbelievable all game. That's why he's our captain. Every single day he works and he leads by example. That was a captain's performance, and that's what we're going to need from everyone going forward. Kieran Gill has reported that Reece James drove Chelsea and 3 of Arsenal's 6 yellow cards were shown for fouls on him. Now, I know we spoke about Reece James a lot in yesterday's video. Feel free to check it out if you haven't seen it. He was everywhere. He was unbelievable, and I totally agree with what Chalobah's saying. It was a captain's performance. The debate going into this game was Caicedo. Caicedo was the debate. It was Caicedo versus Rice, and the winner was Reece James. Work that out. He was unbelievable. He was everywhere. Passing range, defensive work, his offensive work. He ran that midfield on his own for an hour, up against the likes of Declan Rice and Zubimendi. Zubimendi, for me, didn't play well at all. I feel like Declan Rice had a relatively good game, if I'm being fair, but Reece James was the standout player yesterday. He was unbelievable. He was almost perfect. Almost a perfect performance from Reece James. Gets himself an assist with a beautifully delivered cross. Chalobah gets himself on the score sheet. He steps up. And do you know what I really like about this Chelsea team right now? Is that everyone is pulling in the same direction. We saw Enzo Fernandez and Cucurella giving it to Mudryk on the floor once he lost the ball. Proper Chelsea. Fernandez has done that to Mason Mount. He'll scrap him, you know, even if he just looks in his direction, which we just love to see as Chelsea fans. It is in our DNA. It's in our blood. We absolutely love the mentality and the togetherness, the camaraderie within this squad. And it all comes from Reece James. Now, 12 months isn't really a long time, especially in football, because of how fast things move, right? We're already thinking about Wednesday's game in a couple of days' time. We've got Leeds away. And then we've got Bournemouth. And it just keeps going and going and going. So you kind of have to talk about it in the moment. So 12 months can go pretty quickly. 12 months ago, Reece James was being managed. He was playing in midfield at times. And, you know, we can all hold our hands up as Chelsea fans. Most, if not all, I don't want to tar every Chelsea fan with the same brush here, was criticising Maresca for playing Reece James in midfield. And to be fair, when I first started seeing it, I was like, interesting, curious. Don't know if it's going to work, but hey, let's just see what happens. And it took him a while to play that position. And a lot of fans were like, this doesn't work. He's not a midfielder. Maresca hasn't got a clue. And I think we can all admit that Maresca actually does have a clue. And Reece James can play that role. He can play that role to a very high standard. Having him able to play in that 6 role completely transforms the utilisation of Reece James, because we know how good he is at right back. He can support the right back role. He can play right centre back when needed, you know, when we invert and the defensive line shuffles across. He can play in that 6 role and drop deep to help the defensive line as well. He can also go forward. His passing range is fantastic. Honestly, he is a complete footballer. And I'm so happy and so proud of like what he's becoming as a player, because his roles had to be change and adapt to his body and the surgeries and the injuries he's had over many seasons. And now we are really seeing a Reece James develop into another level of ability. And Maresca has come out and said he's probably not going to play Wednesday night because he's a very intense game against with 10 men working even harder, even more intense. He's playing a lot of games recently. And I think that's valid. I think, give the guy the rest. He's come out and said many times that, he works with a one-on-one specialist in the medical team at Maresca, and he's managed to understand his body a bit more and just kind of let people know if he feels like something coming on, rather, being preventative and proactive rather than reactionary after getting injuries, etc. Just trust the guy. I feel like Enzo Maresca knows this squad better than anyone right now, and I think that this season we are being surprised more and more because the team have played for longer together. Maresca has coached them for a longer period of time, and we're starting to see the arc of Robert Sanchez being unbelievable this season. I think it's undeniable. Again, another fantastic performance from him last night. This guy couldn't claim a cross when he first played for us. Now he's one of the best in the league at claiming crosses. And I know it seems very niche, but it was a big part of his game that he had to improve on, and he has. Shot stopping he's always been good at, but that's even taken a level up. Reece James is really becoming to full fitness. He's in flow state right now. He could play as a 6, play as a right back. He is just dominating whatever position he's playing, and whoever the opposition he's playing against, he dominates them too. Very physical still, gets stuck in. He's very technical on the ball. Like I said, he can shoot. He's got great passing range, great at delivering set pieces. He is a complete footballer. You look at the likes of what Chalobah is saying, and the rest of the team need to step up and also lead by example. And I feel like we're seeing that more and more this season than we did last season. Enzo Fernandez bleeds blue. He loves it. He is proper Chelsea. The only person I would say in the squad that's more proper Chelsea than him is Reece James. And 12 months ago, Reece James was outed by Maresca saying he needs to be more of a leader. He needs to show more of an example. He's not what I expected to be as a captain. And rather than moan about it or dig his head in the sand, he took it on the chin and he's come out and over time, over this quick 12 months that's gone by, has really blossomed into the captain, leader, legend that we want him to be and what Maresca wants and expects from him on the pitch. So it's just so nice to see. And it's also so nice to go on social media last night and all everyone was talking about was how good Reece James was. Because like I said, the debate was Caicedo or Rice, and Reece James ended up winning that, which is just unreal. So I'm just genuinely so happy, and I'm sure that you guys are too, that Reece James is getting the flowers that he deserves. Now I think he's cemented the fact that he can play in that 6 role very, very well as right back. As much as we love the older Reece James where, well, technically the younger Reece James, where he played right back and he's going up and down that wing because we know how good his deliveries are, we know how good he is one-on-one defending. We know that he can't do that. We miss that style of Reece James's play. Of course we do. But I really like the player that Reece James is evolving into. Being able to play in that 6 to a very high standard, still being able to play right back and come back and help on that right-hand side. And when you've got the likes of Reece James in that 6 and Gusto at right back and they're supporting each other, it makes that right-hand side very, very hard to break down. So if Gusto can perform at a higher standard, which he has been this season, he's been proving that he is also a big game player and he really steps up in them puts in big performances when needed. I think it's such a strong right-hand side. And then you add the likes of Pedro Neto on the right wing with the defensive work as well as the offensive work. Unreal. And then even when you got the likes of Esteval, he still comes back and still does the dirty work, but he's kind of like an outlet. You give him the ball and he does his thing. I'm just so glad that Reece James is getting his flowers. He had a perfect performance, and I would love to know your thoughts and opinions down below. Regarding Reece James overall, do you think that there's still even more that Reece James can give as a player? Do you think he's going to get even better? Do you think this is his peak? How long will he stay fit for? Do you think that's a thing of the past now? Because no one's really talking about his availability because he's been available for the last 12 to 18 months. And now he's playing 3 games a week, no problem. So I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Reece James and Trevor Chalobah's comments. Do you feel like the rest of the team need to step up, or have you noticed that they are all stepping up to be leaders on the pitch? The Mail Sport has reported that 1 year on since his last appearance for Chelsea, Mudryk is still waiting on the official ruling for his doping ban. The ruling is not expected to arrive anytime soon. Talk of Mudryk pivoting into a new career as an Olympic sprinter has also been panned. Now, like I always say to you guys, I will always touch base, react to, give my opinions and thoughts on Mudryk and his situation because it's such a strange situation. And I spoke about this over on TikTok a few days ago, maybe last week or so. There's been some, newer images of appearing of him with, I think it was like the Shakhtar board or things like that. I don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. No one really does. But the one thing I was speaking about, and the one thing I think I've mentioned here on this channel as well, is I'm very curious in terms of what happens with this ban once it's officially ruled. I don't understand why it's taken so long. It genuinely baffles me. You look historically at all of the doping bans in the Premier League, they've never taken over a year. The court case or whatever the case is to get the official ruling might take up to a year, but they already have a preliminary ban in place. Now, of course, Mudryk can't visit Cobham, which I didn't know. He can't train, obviously. And we see him at sort of home games, away games, things like that. And he's been reported that he's got a personal trainer and he's keeping himself fit, so he's ready. As and when he can play again, he's ready to go straight back in. And I absolutely rate that, because he's not letting it get to him. This must be so damaging to his mental health, knowing that, he passed a voluntary lie detector test recently to suggest that he didn't take the substances knowingly. Unfortunately, that type of test doesn't hold up in court or hold up in these types of cases. So it's good to know, and it's good for his conscience, and it's obviously good for him to be like, well, I know that I'm telling the truth. They might try and use that in his case. I don't really know. I'm not a lawyer. But as far as I'm aware, all these voluntary lie detectors, they don't hold their weight in gold, essentially. So it'd be interesting to see. But I want to know if, because he's not played for a year, if he then gets a ban for 3 years, do they minus a year off because he's not played already for a year? He's not been allowed to go to the training ground. He's not allowed to be in and around Chelsea other than match days, like as a fan, essentially, where he buys his own ticket or whatever, or is compensated. I'm very curious if that's the case, or if when eventually, because it has to come to an end at some point, First, we had the B sample who went around the world 15 times and was lost twice and, I don't know, was on the moon or whatever. And we never really heard anything about that. Then there was this whole Chelsea are going to sue Shakhtar for the like £30 million in damages, or the contract or the clauses that, you know, are now null and void. That's kind of gone quiet. Then you've also got reports coming out that Chelsea are backing Mudryk and, you know, really supporting him and trying to help him through this tough time, which I really hope that is true. Because again, if he's proven time and time again that, you know, he's true to his word, he's like, I had no idea. You can kind of go into the nitty gritty of it. You know, professional football should know what they're taking, etc. And I've spoken this before, like at such a young age when you're new to it, you trust the professionals that are looking after you. That's the whole point. And yes, they should be more educated in terms of what they're taking, of course, but they're young. They're young and they're just doing what they're told at certain stages where they don't have the knowledge or experience of being in these situations. But it's nice to know that, you know, the club are going to be backing him. I just want to know when the case is actually going to be done and we actually have closure, not just for us, but for him. Because he must be sitting there going, I just want to know when this is going to end. This can't go on indefinitely. Surely it can't. It's gone on for 12 months with no... There's been reports it's going to be a 4-year ban, but nothing's official. No sort of dates have been set. No secret meetings. No nothing that's been leaked or reported. We don't know. And when it comes to this pivot into a new career of an Olympic sprinter, I think this is just all waffle. This was a meme that gained a lot of traction because he's got a lot of pace. And I get it, I hear it, right? It would make sense. But at the same time, it makes completely no sense because the substances he was taking is in the sporting world. And yes, there are slightly different sort of brackets in terms of what's a banned substance, what isn't in different sports. I get that. But I'm pretty sure anything that's considered PEDs is not going to be acceptable in the Olympics. So I think that's just a meme that caught traction and now people are attaching to it because he's really fast. I mean, look, if there is an element of truth to it and he wants to pivot to that as a career, fair play to him, man, because he is rapid. But I honestly see him going through this case and I want to know what his long-term Chelsea future is going to be. Are the club going to back him through this ban and then actually give him a go and say, right, do you know what? We've supported you through this. We back you. You're on a really long contract. You're still really young. You've been training alongside as much as you can. Let's see what you can do because you were part of Chelsea's plans. Or are they going to go, right, your band's up. We'll sell you for a cutthroat price. We've amortized the price over X amount of years. We only need X amount of money. Someone can come grab you. I just think it'd be very interesting to see what happens in that sense. But I really feel for the guy. I really wanted Mudryk to work at Chelsea. I think this is obviously not intentional on his part, but I feel that we do need to get some sort of answer soon. And I think just for his case and for his sake, just so he can have, you know, close this door on this chapter and move on from it. But I just wanted to get your thoughts and opinions on Myles Mudryk down below. Well, how do you think this is all going to play out? Will they use the time that he's not played already off of his current ban? Will they just add it on top? Do you think he's got a career at Chelsea? Do you think he is going to be an Olympic sprinter? Do you think that Chelsea are going to try and offload him as soon as possible? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Court Offside have reported that Chelsea very much want to make their pitch to Myles Lewis-Skelly. They'd love to bring him in and make him a key player, something that's not guaranteed for him at Arsenal. Mark Bruce has reported that Chelsea are ready to try and convince Myles Lewis-Skelly to make the controversial move away from Arsenal. They believe they can offer him more playing time with minutes in the midfield rather than just cover at left back for Marc Cucurella. He's currently being used at Arsenal at left back only. However, this morning, Football Insider have reported that Arsenal have no intentions of letting Myles Lewis-Skelly leave, especially not to a direct rival. Now, firstly, that was my first thought. That's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Arsenal or Chelsea, it usually goes one way, and that's Arsenal buying Chelsea players once we don't want them anymore. That's typically how it's gone. The only occasion where I feel like we've bought Arsenal players and it's worked out is Olivier Giroud and Ashley Cole. I might have missed one or two, but essentially it's usually a one-way traffic, if that makes sense, from Chelsea to Arsenal rather than the other way around. Myles Lewis-Skelly is a fantastic player. He was awesome. He played well against Chelsea last night. He's been consistently very good for a youngster, and you know, Arsenal fans have been raving about how good he is, and rightfully so. He's got a very high ceiling, lots of potential, and already has bags of talent, and he's showcasing that to a point where you think, why are Arsenal not playing this guy more often? Now, my other sort of edge to this is, why would Chelsea go and sign another left-back when we have Cucurella and Joel Hato? It makes literally no sense. It would be stockpiling for the sake of it. This isn't the type of move you make to try and flip for profit. This is the type of type of buy you get, player you get in for the future of the club. Now, in terms of Chelsea's project, he ticks every single box. He's talented. He's got the right age. You know, he's young. He's got a high potential. He's got bags of talent already. He's got experience in the Premier League, even in the Champions League when he's played. This kid is genuinely a fantastic player. However, Arsenal not willing to, no intentions of letting him go to a direct rival. I fully respect it, and that's, like I said, that's my first thought. The interesting thing is that Chelsea are ready to try and convince him, and they want to offer him playing time in midfield. Now, we know that he can play in midfield as well when he inverts, or whether he's played there for limited minutes or whatnot. So that's where the question marks start to go, oh, okay, let's really think about this. He could be that midfield cover, midfield depth that we need, because we do currently have some injury-prone players in that role. The likes of Lavia, the likes of Asugo, who's coming back from surgery, and hopefully he does stay fit. So there could potentially be some sort of pathway or route. But again, it still doesn't make a load of sense to me. We're also linked with Adam Wharton. We're also linked with all these other players that could play in a 6. Will play in midfield. And like I always say to you, we've got Santos, Enzo, Caicedo, Asugo and Lavia. The only one, and I really hope we don't, but the only one there that makes sense of getting rid of to replace is Lavia because of his injuries. But I 100% guarantee you that Chelsea are not going to look to offload him unless the player wants to leave, because he's incredibly gifted and he's still extremely young. And we could be seeing the likes of Reece James a few years ago just going over injury for injury for injury until they find a solution for Lavia. Same with Asugo. We've seen very limited minutes. He is an incredible sign, and I'm glad that we've got him. And I feel like long term, he's going to be very pivotal to Chelsea's season, especially in rotation with Caicedo, or even alongside Caicedo when we need a defensive brick wall in them 6 roles. Again, he was injured when we signed him. He played for a little bit. He's then had another injury. He's had a surgery. This could just be bumps in the road. Or it could be waffling. It could just be they're injury-prone players. And Chelsea are looking and going, right, let's take the emotions out of it and go, right, who's got the most availability that also ticks the boxes for the project? Let's go after an Adam Wharton. Let's go over to a Lewis-Skelly, because he could play left-back if needed, but we want to give him minutes in midfield. I would not be mad at it at all, but at the same time, well, I would be if we offloaded Lavia, because I think he's world-class when he's fit. He's unbelievable, it really is. And it's just, if fitness is the only thing, then you kind of have to persevere a little while. People forget he's 21 years old. He's got his entire career ahead of him. So, I don't know. I would personally give Lavia a little bit more time. I think there's no pressure on him right now. Well, a little bit more because Asugo is still recovering, as Caicedo is now banned for 3 games, so we are running a bit thin in that 6 role. Now we know that Reece James can play there. He won't play Wednesday, which is another sort of like, what do we do? But you've got Andre Santos who could play there to a very high standard. He replaced Caicedo in that, I was going to say the Bournemouth game, not the Bournemouth game, in the Burnley game, and played unbelievably well. So I feel like we've still got rotation, we've still got depth, we've still got options. So I wanted to react to this, get your guys' thoughts and opinions down below regarding Myles Lewis-Skelly. I personally don't see this happening whatsoever, but there might be an element of truth to this purely because you know how Chelsea move when it comes to their project and people that tick boxes, and they love anyone that can kick ball. And to be fair to Lewis-Skelly, there was a bit of commotion because he isn't getting as much game time, and I genuinely feel like Arsenal should be playing him more. I'm not an Arsenal fan, so I don't know the inner workings of their team. I don't know why he's not getting as much game time. This could be like an Esteval-style thing where Arteta just wants to ease him in and give him slow minutes and make sure he adjusts to the league. But when he plays phenomenally, and Arsenal fans go, why is he not starting? Who knows? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Plenty Goal and Sky Sports have reported that 29-year-old striker Guirassy could leave Borussia Dortmund this summer. It is understood that he has a release clause at around 50 million euros, and it applies to 7 top clubs: Chelsea, Madrid, Barca, City, Liverpool, Arsenal and United. Now I just wanted to react to this. Just wanted to get your thoughts and opinions around Guirassy. I think he's a very underrated forward. I think he got like 38 GA last season. He's on 12 GA already this season. He is coming into the prime of his career. This guy knows how to find the net, also creates chances for his teammates, can hold the ball up well, got a bit of pace, can finish, good in the air. Is he an absolute gunman? I mean, last season, if it's anything to go by, yes he is. My only qualm with this is he's 29 years old and we already have the likes of Amiga on his way. We've got Delap, we've got Guiu, we've got João Pedro that can play there. So the way that I see it is it's not happening. It is not happening. I would be extremely surprised if Chelsea wanted to put in 50 million euros for the likes of Guirassy, because then again it asks questions. Who is the one on the move? Does Guiu go on loan to make space? Delap isn't going to go anywhere. Does that demote João Pedro just to the 10 so he's in rotation, which frees up another forward spot? I doubt it, because Maresca likes what João Pedro can do from a technical point of view and sort of gameplay style and the dynamics of it, playing him as a 9 as well as a 10. I think we all can agree that João Pedro's best position is a 10, but he can play a 9. I think he did pretty well in that first half against Arsenal. His job wasn't to receive the ball lots of times. It was to, when it comes near him, flick it on to the runners coming in behind or just behind him or in front of him, you know what I mean? So I'm just curious to know your thoughts, because If it applies to 7 clubs, and they're the 7 clubs that are interested, I'm trying to think of, if you look at that list, who really needs a centre forward. Madrid don't, they've got Mbappe. Barcelona got Lewandowski. So, potentially they are also eyeing up Alvarez. City, do they need a forward? They've got Erling Haaland. So, Liverpool just bought Isak. Arsenal got Gyökeres. But they have got Kai Havertz, who seems to be pretty injury prone, who's played various positions, but sometimes as a 9. United, they've just signed, Sesko. And Chelsea have 4 or 5 forwards that can play in that role. Are they to the standard of Guirassy? In my opinion, no, not yet. I think Delap will be good in the future. I do genuinely think he's going to come good. He's having a rough time starting. And some people are saying he took the 9, it's the 9 curse. It could well be. It could well be the 9 curse. Who knows? But I feel like if there is anyone to break it over a long period, I think it will be him. I'm hoping. That's what it is. £30 million for a young English forward who helped 1 season in the Premier League at 12 goals. It gives us a different dynamic of going long and someone who's powerful, natural finisher in the box. I'll take it all day long. However, if you was to offer me Guirassy for €50 million, I'd also take it. Do I think it fits into Chelsea's system? No. Do I think it improves our squad? Yes, I really do. Knowing that all the forwards made their moves around Europe this summer just gone. Chelsea made their move for João Pedro and Delap. So there's a lot of reasons why I think that Chelsea wouldn't go for it. There's also a lot of reasons why all the other clubs wouldn't go for it. Maybe Barcelona because they're looking for a replacement for Lewandowski. City don't need him. Liverpool don't need him. Arsenal, I don't think need him, but maybe. Manchester United just bought a forward, but they've also got Mbeumo and Cunha. I don't know. Madrid definitely don't need him. So I just thought it was very interesting to kind of talk about this with you guys in the comments. Would you sign Guirassy? Even though it goes against everything that the project states, because he's 29 years old, but he is a bit of a bagsman, especially in the last season and a half at least, going on last season's stats and this season so far. Do you think €50 million is a good price for him? Because me personally, I don't think that's an overinflated price considering or a reflection of his performance. I think that's relatively cheap for a player who's in their prime, playing well for the last 18 months consistently, in their prime. €50 million in today's inflated market, I think is actually relatively cheap. I really, really do. Because you're still going to get a good 5 years out of him. I think this is going to be, if he is to leave, this will be his last big contract. Which again, in terms of the amortization of things and getting your money back on a player that you can't move on, that could also be something that Chelsea look at and go, definitely not. But like I said, it raises more questions than it does answers. So let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. And that's the latest Chelsea news. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported down below in the comment section. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one. And I mean that, you're a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you enjoy that video too.